guys, it's Jordan and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be telling you everything that I did in April. Let's go ahead and start out with the books. The first book I read in April was Vicious by V.E. Schwab. So in this novel we follow Victor and Eli, who were once college roommates. And in their senior year of college, a shared interest in the supernatural brings them to an intriguing potential senior thesis. That under the right conditions, it is possible to give a human superpowers. 10 years later, we follow Victor right after he's broken out of prison. And he is desperately trying to reunite with his ex-best friend and current foe, Eli. So with that synopsis being so heavily influenced and centered around people with superpowers, I thought I was going to really love and enjoy this book. I ended up being pretty mediocre about it. I've read one previous Victoria Schwab book in the past, and I have a very similar feeling about both of her books. They both took me a really long time to get into. However, the ending was amazing. She's much more character driven in her stories where plot takes a backseat, and for me I really need a gripping plot to keep my interest. I like really strong, powerful characters, but I just need that driving plot as well. And I didn't feel like the plot really kicked in until later in this book. So for me personally, I just don't think Victoria Schwab is an author that I really gel with. So if you are a person who really likes character-driven stories, I think you really would enjoy her books. I am super excited that this book is getting a sequel. I cannot wait to see more of Victor Vale. I loved him as a character. I think he was just so well written. I ended up giving this book a 3.5 out of 5 stars. So I decided to do the try a chapter tag. I will go ahead and link it on the screen if you want to watch me read the first chapter of a couple different books and share my opinions. But from that tag, I ended up choosing my next book on this list, which was The Female of the Species by Mindy McGinnis. This is a contemporary novel that has a running commentary on rape culture. We follow 3 points of view. The first one is Alex, who before the start of the novel, her older sister Anna was murdered. And Alex always known who the perpetrator was. Unfortunately, the case did not have enough evidence to persecute this man. She sets out on a journey to murder the person that murdered her sister. The next point of view we follow is Jack, who is the star athlete. He was in the woods at the same time that the investigators found Anna's body. And he serves as the insight to the male psyche and how males approach the idea of sexual assault, how that influences rape culture. Our last one is PK, who is the daughter of the local preacher, and she meets Alex through a community service opportunity, and she's our lens through which we see how girls interact with other girls. So through these 3 different characters, we get 3 different viewpoints on rape in our society. I did do an entire review for this book as well at the end of that try a chapter tag video. I absolutely loved this book. This is such an important novel. I think this should be something that everybody reads. It challenges so many inherent beliefs in our society, like the idea that boys will be boys and that it's okay for girls to hate on other girls and things like this that are just so common and prevalent in media, and tells you through this really interesting lens how wrong that is. It makes you realize that situations where you've been judging other girls for certain actions or letting things slide from boys because they're just boys, and how doing those things perpetuates the very thing that you're trying to get rid of. I don't read a lot of social commentary type contemporaries, so this was very much outside my comfort zone, but I learned so much from this. And so in the end, I ended up giving this book a 5 out of 5 stars. And so after that, the next book that I picked up was A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas. This is the second book in the A Court of Thorns and Roses trilogy. This is a reread for me. I read this when it first came out, and I loved this book just as much, if not more, than the first time I read it. I just love these characters. I love this world. I love the culture. I love everything about it. It's just so rich and vibrant and fun and entertaining. I did do an entire 20-minute book talk on this, so I will go ahead and link that if you'd like to check it out as well. I did also do a theories video on this book that centers around Amryn, so if you want to check that out, you can click the card symbol as well. And then I did do an entire predictions, questions, what I kind of want to see happen in ACOWAR. There was a lot of ACOMAF videos that went up. I'll go ahead and link those in the card symbol if you want to check any of those out. I did obviously give this book a 5 out of 5 stars. And then the last book that I read this month was another book that I had tried in my try a chapter tag, and that was Daughter of Deep Silence by Carrie Ryan. In this novel, we follow a young girl who survives this very disastrous sinking of a cruise ship. And 2 of the people are telling a completely different story from our main character's viewpoint on the situation. And so the 2 characters who are lying are very prominent figures in the society and have managed managed to twist this entire conspiracy theory around this event of the sinking of this cruise ship. And our main character is desperately trying to bring the truth to light, to seek revenge for what happened to her and her family while they were on that cruise ship. I didn't particularly love the characters. I didn't particularly love the plot. A lot of it was just okay. My biggest issue were there was just some plot choices that I really didn't agree with. And I think had she changed some of her choices, I think it would have made this novel more suspenseful. Characters act like adults in this book, and beneficial to just make them adults. You made them 18, and I feel like it would have just been easier to leave them as adults and market this to an adult audience. Going into this novel, you know that our main character assumes the life of a friend who died upon the sinking of the ship. I would have preferred thinking that she was who she's pretending to be for majority of the book, had a plot twist at the end that revealed her true identity and been mind blown. I think it would have been much more suspenseful and impactful if it was done that way. I wish we also wouldn't have known who survived on the life raft. I wish we would have just known that one survived and the other one died and not known all of the details surrounding that, because again, it would have added to that suspense factor, that mystery factor. It's a mystery book, but I feel like the mystery was so weak. And almost immediately from the beginning of the book, we're pointing fingers at the other two survivors. We know they're lying. We know there's a cover-up. There's so many things she could have redacted and kept till the end and dropped at the end that would have been so much more shocking than the plot twist we actually got. I was pretty underwhelmed by the ending of this novel. It just wasn't worth it. So anticlimactic. There were a couple plot twists though that did shock me, that I did not see coming. It wasn't completely predictable, and so for that reason I ended up giving this a 3.5 out of 5 stars. So those are the 4 books that I read for the month of April. Let's go ahead and talk about the movies that I saw. I actually didn't go see any new movies this month. There was nothing really in the theater that was super interesting or that I was like really excited about, so I didn't go see anything. So let's go ahead and talk about what TV shows I've been watching. So this month, Pretty Little Liars came back for its final 13 episodes. This show has gotten so beyond ridiculous, it's not even funny anymore. It's just so far-fetched and unbelievable. I don't understand how these girls aren't in jail. I just don't get how they're not convicted felons in prison yet, based on the amount of criminal activity that they actually do. So at this point, I'm just watching it because we're almost done with it, and I want to kind of see how it all plays out since I've already invested like 7 years of my life in the show, but I'm not overly impressed with any of the plot lines right now. This new game board thing that they're doing is just, who has the time to make that kind of game board? And I just am excited for it to be done, so I don't have to watch it anymore. There's actually one scene in particular, Arya just like whips open a hacking computer and starts hacking into another girl's cell phone. My mom and I are like, the fuck, she learned, when did she learn how to do this? She's like, oh yeah, Caleb taught me this morning. I learned in like 5 minutes. It's just, really? It's so unrealistic. I also started watching the 4th season of The Originals this month. I'm actually really enjoying it. It's very creepy this season. There's this very interesting antagonist that we don't really know anything about. It's kind of like an immaterial object. The Originals is a much more like witch-based show, and this is like very extreme witch-based plotline. So I'm really excited to see how it all plays out. I really hope that this one character from Vampire Diaries makes the crossover and comes back to this show. It would make a fantastic addition to the Originals cast. A couple of old characters that died in the last season that I really miss, and I don't feel like they've replaced them with equivalently well-developed characters, if that makes sense. And then the last show that I watched this month was Fuller House Season 2 on Netflix. I love this show so much. I feel like Fuller House does such a good job of honoring the original show, but still being modern and fun and new. It always makes me feel so good. So if you're ever in a really bad mood, or you're having a really bad day, or life's just not going your way, I would highly suggest watching some Fuller House. I don't think it ruins the original show at all. It still has the same jokes, the same cheesiness. They have a lot of cameos from the original cast, which I'm pretty shocked by. It's way more than I was expecting. The same essence and feel of the original show is still there. I don't think you should be worried about it painting the original show. Would highly recommend checking this out if you haven't already. So that is it. Those are all the things that I have done in April. I would love to know what you did in April. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll talk to you very soon. Bye!